My boyfriend called me the ugliest girl ever on TikTok, but I vanished, and now he's on his knees. My boyfriend blasted me on TikTok, straight up called me the ugliest girl he's ever dated, then dumped me right after. So yeah, I ghosted. Not a word. Just vanished. This morning, after dodging 37 missed calls, I opened my front door, and there he was. Patrick. On his damn knees, bawling like a child. We'd been together for almost 3 years. Met him when I was 21. He was that guy who magically knew how to fix the garbage disposal when it jammed. That felt like a green flag. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. We swapped Instas, started texting, and before I knew it, we were a thing. For most of those 3 years, things were decent. We had our rhythm. Thursday night Netflix docs, dinner with his mom every other Sunday, summer camping with his boys. He always remembered my birthday. Actually listened when I vented about my day. I know, practically mythical behavior for men these days. Side note, my ex before Patrick legit thought emotional labor was a pregnancy complication. So yeah, the bar was practically underground. Anyway, jump to this past Tuesday. I'm on my lunch break, scrolling mindlessly through my phone when I get a ping. It's from my best friend, Ellen. Just a TikTok link and a text. Call me now. All caps. And trust me, Ellen doesn't do drama. This is the girl who once messaged minor issue while her apartment was literally underwater. I hit the link, and there he is, Patrick. At Throwbacks, that grungy bar he and his dudes haunt every Monday night. I recognize the flickering Budweiser sign behind him. Flickers every 7 seconds. We timed it once while waiting on wings. He was clearly 6 beers in, face flushed, arms slung over Bryce's shoulders, his go-to drinking buddy. Someone off camera asked, "So, rate your girlfriend, bro." And y'all, the shift in his face, chilling. That wasn't his usual dopey smile. It was this smug little smirk I'd never seen before. Like he was about to let the whole world in on a cruel private joke. "Noelle?" he said like he had to think. Honestly, probably the most hideous girl I've ever dated. Like a 4 on a good day. The bar lost it. Laughter, someone in the back yelling, "Savage!" And Patrick, he just kept rolling. But she makes killer enchiladas and never nags when I'm out with the guys, so I keep her around. Low maintenance, you know? Then someone off-screen asked if he was worried I'd see it. And this jackass said, "Nah, she doesn't even know how TikTok works. Besides, I've been thinking about upgrading anyway. She's got too much baggage." Timestamp on the video? 11:43 p.m. Monday night. While I was home, wearing a stupid clay mask, texting him goodnight, thinking we were solid. The video had 177,000 views, 17,000 likes. I sat there in the break room just staring at my phone. No tears. No rage, just this cold numbness spreading through my chest. 3 years together, and that's what he thinks of me? The night before he'd been at my apartment, we made dinner, talked about maybe moving in when my lease ends in August. He kissed me goodbye, said, "Love you, babe," like it meant something. 12 hours later, I'm just the ugly placeholder he's looking to upgrade. I texted Ellen back, "Coming over after work, don't tell anyone." And I turned off every notification, shoved my phone in my purse, and somehow made it through 3 more clients without falling apart. It's wild what autopilot can get you through. After work, I didn't go home. Went straight to Target. Bought a cheap-ass duffel bag and filled it with essentials. Toothbrush, deodorant, charger, a couple of teas. Spent
$47.16. The receipt is still in my wallet for some reason. Drove to Ellen's apartment complex, pulled in at 6:13 p.m., then sat in my car for 20 minutes, just frozen, playing that damn video over and over in my head, thinking about all the times Patrick told me I looked beautiful. At his company's Christmas party, when I had the flu last winter, 3 weeks ago on the beach when I was insecure in a bikini. Were those all lies? Or just things people say when they're trying to keep things convenient? Ellen didn't ask questions. She just pointed to the pull-out couch, poured 2 glasses of cheap college-era rosé, and said, "What's the move?"
That's when I knew I wasn't giving him the drama he wanted. No tears, no confrontation. He doesn't get that satisfaction. We made a checklist that night. Block Patrick on everything. Phone, Instagram, Twitter. He knew most of my passwords. Scary how easy it was for him to slip into parts of my life. I called out of work for the rest of the week. Told only my mom where I was hiding. By midnight that first night, Patrick had sent 7 texts. Casual stuff, like nothing had happened. What do you want for dinner? And still coming over tonight. By morning, it shifted to, where are you? And why aren't you answering? By the afternoon, he'd called 12 times. Not a single mention of the TikTok, not one, I'm sorry, nothing. I crashed at Ellen's place Wednesday and Thursday. We binged Love Island like it was therapy. Honestly, garbage TV hits different when your entire relationship's in flames. I cried in the shower so she wouldn't hear. We ate way too much Uber Eats because cooking felt like a chore for people with stable lives. Friday morning, Ellen offered to swing by my place and grab more clothes for me. She came back looking pissed, said Patrick had definitely been there. Empty energy drinks on the counter, his jacket tossed across my couch like he still lived there. Oh, and a note taped to the door. Call me. We need to talk. Still no mention of why we needed to talk. Like I was supposed to magically forget the internet had seen him trash me. That TikTok, it vanished from his account Thursday night, but way too late. It had already been screen recorded and passed around our entire circle like gossip gold. My phone blew up. People I hadn't heard from in years were suddenly texting, "Are you okay?" The weekend was a blur of dodging calls from unknown numbers. Patrick had started using his friends' phones after realizing I'd blocked his. Every knock at Ellen's door made me jump, like we were in a horror movie. Margaret, someone from my old community college group chat, sent me screenshots of his Instagram stories. Moody captions, sad song lyrics, missing someone, biggest mistake of my life. Classic PR cleanup. By Sunday night, I'd racked up 26 missed calls. By Monday morning, 32. I finally went back to work that day. My manager hugged me when I walked in. Apparently, that stupid video made it to her For You page, too. She offered me another day off. I told her no. I needed to feel normal again. During lunch break, Patrick showed up at the salon. I legit hid in the supply closet while my coworker lied and said I wasn't in. Through the door, I could hear his voice. That low rumble I used to love. But it sounded rough, tired. By Tuesday morning, 1 full week since the video, I'd hit 37 missed calls. His latest text just said, "Please." I needed to pick up some mail from my apartment. Figured 8 a.m. was safe. He usually left for work by 7:30. Wrong. I unlocked my door, and there he was, sitting on my damn welcome mat, the one he gave me that says, "Home is where the Wi-Fi connects automatically." He looked up when he heard the key turn. And y'all, he was a mess. Unshaven, sunken eyes,
He was still in that same crusty Metallica shirt from 2 nights ago, the one he wore in his desperate little Instagram story. And the moment he saw me, his entire body just gave out. It wasn't some overacted drama. He hit the ground like gravity had finally caught up with his lies, dropped to his knees, tears already streaming, repeating my name like a glitching voice memo. I didn't move. Stood there with my keys in hand, frozen. First I felt nothing, then everything. Then nothing again. He looked up, red-eyed and broken. "Noelle, please, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that stuff. I was drunk. The guys were pushing me. I didn't mean any of it. Just talk to me." I shut it down before he could even finish. "I saw what you really think of me. There's nothing left to say." Then I walked around him like he was an old jacket someone dropped on the floor, grabbed my mail, passed him like he didn't exist, and kept walking to my car. He followed me to the parking lot, still sobbing, still begging. I didn't look back. Got in, locked the doors, drove straight to Ellen's. He called 5 times before I was even off our street. It's been 8 days, 4 hours, and 22 minutes since I saw that video. Since I realized the man I trusted the most in this world thought of me as a temp, a body to keep warm until something shinier came along. I don't know what comes next. A dumb, stubborn part of me misses him. Misses the routine. Misses thinking I was actually loved. But those words, hideous, upgrade, they loop in my head like a bad ringtone. So easy for him to say. So vicious. 3 years, and that's all I was to him.
After I left him collapsed in that parking lot, I drove back to Ellen's place in full zombie mode. The whole way there, my phone was blowing up. Patrick had moved on to using his mom's number to reach me. That's its own level of pathetic. I got back and just sat in the kitchen, staring blankly at Ellen's faded Live, Laugh, Tequila magnet on her fridge. Couldn't cry, couldn't think. It was like my brain had run out of emotional bandwidth. Ellen came home around 2 p.m. and found me still in my coat, sitting in the exact same position I'd arrived in. She didn't even say anything at first, just opened the fridge, handed me a lime White Claw, and sighed like she'd seen this movie before. Then she asked me something I hadn't let myself think about. Had I been ignoring the red flags all along, filtering them out like noise? I wanted to defend him, defend us. I mean, we had a good thing, right? He remembered my birthday. He watched The Bachelor with me even though he claimed it gave him a migraine. He never once complained when my hair turned the shower drain into a full-on horror scene. In today's dating wasteland, that felt like royalty. I genuinely believed he was clearing the bar with room to spare. But then Ellen started digging, gently but precisely, like she already knew what she'd find. "Did Patrick ever joke about your looks?" she asked. "Well, yeah. There was that time he said my favorite jeans made me look a little wide, but in a cute way. And when I got highlights last summer, he asked if the salon meant to make them so brassy. He also had this annoying habit of pointing out celebrities he thought were natural beauties, always the ultra-thin, fresh-faced types that looked absolutely nothing like me."
"Did he support your goals?" she asked. "I mean, kind of. He said he was proud when I got promoted last year, but he also suggested I maybe shouldn't take it, said it might be too stressful. And when I brought up the idea of going back to school someday, he always steered the convo straight to how expensive that would be. Was he held to the same standards as you?" "Absolutely not. If I showed up 15 minutes late, he'd blow up my phone like I was committing a felony. But if he bailed last minute to hang out with his boys, I was expected to smile and say, "Have fun." By the time we finished our White Claws, I had a pit in my stomach. That TikTok? It wasn't a freak accident. It wasn't some glitch in his personality. It was the first time I'd seen the real Patrick, stripped of the filter I'd been too eager to believe in. Later that night, the doorbell rang at exactly 9:17 p.m. We both froze like fugitives. Ellen peeked through the peephole. It was him, standing there with the saddest bouquet of grocery store flowers I'd ever seen. Ellen didn't hesitate. She cracked the door just enough to block the view and went full mama bear. Told him I wasn't there. I could hear his voice cracking, desperate as he begged for 5 minutes. Said he hadn't slept, said he'd lost 7 pounds, said he'd do anything to fix this. When she finally got him to leave, we found a letter he'd slid under the door. 8 pages, front and back. I read it, twice. Tear stains on the paper. Promises to make it right. Excuses, drunk, peer pressure, bad day at work. A whole bingo card of classic deflection. But one line hit different. I said those horrible things because I'm insecure and afraid you'll figure out you're too good for me. And for about 20 minutes, I actually considered calling him. That's how wrecked I was. He dragged me through public humiliation, and somehow I felt bad for him. Luckily, Ellen's Wi-Fi crashed right then. Thursday night Xfinity chaos. We couldn't stream anything, so we scrolled through old photos on my phone instead. That's when it really sank in. In every photo from the last year, I was smiling at him like he was my whole world. And he was either glued to his phone, staring into space, or making some dumb face like he wasn't even there. Not a single shot where he looked at me the way I was looking at him. How the hell did I not see it? Then, Friday morning, something new dropped. My brother Josh called me, sounded extra pissed, told me Patrick had shown up at his place at 7 a.m. asking if he knew where I was. Josh, being the protective older brother he is, basically told him that if he ever came by again, things wouldn't be handled with words next time. Yeah, dramatic, but honestly, kind of comforting. At that point, Patrick's constant attempts to reach me weren't romantic. They were suffocating. So I finally did something I'd been putting off. Wrote the text. Short, clear, no wiggle room. I need space. Please stop contacting me, my friends, and my family. I'll reach out if and when I'm ready. Sent it at 10:22 a.m. Immediately turned my phone off for 3 hours because I physically couldn't deal with whatever reply he'd send. When I finally checked it again, 5 paragraphs. The usual, I understand, I'll wait forever, I'll respect your space. Followed immediately by 3 more texts asking if forever meant next week and if we could meet for coffee. So much for boundaries. The weekend, though? Peaceful. Ellen's roommate Margaret was out of town visiting her folks, so we had the whole place to ourselves. We ordered takeout, did face masks, watched all 3 Magic Mike movies, obviously for the plot. And for the first time in weeks, I went a full 24 hours without touching my phone. It felt like finally taking a breath after drowning. Then Sunday night hit, and things twisted again. I was doom scrolling on Instagram before bed. Bad habit, I know. When I saw it, Patrick had posted a video. Not just any video, a public apology. Tagged me in everything. 4 minutes and 27 seconds of him sitting in his car with bloodshot eyes, talking directly to the camera. He told everyone how sorry he was for that awful TikTok, how much he regretted hurting the most beautiful person inside and out that he's ever known.
how he's trying to become a better man. The comments were a train wreck. Some people clapped for his accountability. Barf. Others called him out for making my humiliation all about him. Bryce even dropped a "stay strong, bro," like Patrick was the one needing support. I couldn't sleep after that. Just laid there thinking how even his so-called rock bottom moment was curated. Like, I'm sure he filmed it 10 times before picking the perfect take and dropping it at prime engagement hour, 8 p.m. on a Sunday. By Monday morning, I knew I needed to leave Ellen's. She'd been incredible, but I couldn't keep hiding. And her hot water heater was acting up. Cold showers in February? Nope. As I packed up my duffel bag, my phone pinged with a Venmo notification. Patrick had sent me $300 with the note, "For the anniversary dinner we'll never have." Our 3-year anniversary would have been next week. I sent it back instantly, then blocked him on Venmo too. The drive to my apartment felt like walking into a test I hadn't studied for. Every red light had me checking the rearview mirror, convinced his car would appear behind me. But he wasn't there. When I walked into the building, my neighbor, Mrs. Rogers, nodded at me like I hadn't vanished for over 2 weeks. All my plants were dead. Even the snake plant, the one that's supposed to be impossible to kill. R.I.P. The air in my apartment was stale and vaguely smelled like old Indian takeout I'd completely forgotten was still rotting in the fridge. Everything felt familiar but off, like slipping into a pair of jeans that used to fit just right, but now pinch in all the wrong places.
And then I saw them. Post-it notes. Everywhere. On the bathroom mirror, "I miss your smile." On the fridge, "Remember our first dinner here?" On the TV, "Our Netflix queue misses you." On my bedside table, "I can't sleep without you." I stood there frozen, slowly putting it together. Patrick still had the spare key I gave him last year. He'd been inside while I was gone. My skin crawled. I tore through the apartment like a horror movie cliché, checking closets, under the bed, behind the shower curtain, half expecting him to be hiding in the shadows. He wasn't, but honestly, that didn't make it feel any less violating. I called my landlord immediately, told him what happened. He agreed to change the locks the next morning. After that, I went through my apartment and ripped down every single sticky note. One by one, shredded them into tiny, pathetic pieces. Was it petty? Absolutely. Did it help? Hell yes. That night was my first one back in my own bed. I won't pretend it was easy. I kept waking up, half expecting to feel the weight of him beside me. My body hadn't quite caught up to the truth yet. We were done. Tuesday morning, I was making coffee when there was a knock at the door. My heart froze for a second before I remembered Patrick's key didn't work anymore. It wasn't him. It was Bryce. Bryce, who laughed in that TikTok. Bryce, who I knew before I even knew Patrick. Bryce, who was apparently here now as some kind of messenger boy. He looked uncomfortable, fidgeting in the hallway like a guy about to ask for money. Started off with awkward weather small talk, seriously, before cutting to the chase. Patrick was spiraling and just wanted 5 minutes to talk. I asked him if he remembered laughing in that video. His face dropped. At least he looked ashamed. Said he was drunk. Said he was just going along with the guys. Then he threw out this gem. He didn't mean it, Noelle. You know how guys talk when they're together? Yeah, I do. And I want no part of it. I don't want to be with someone who talks like that with his friends, drunk or not. I don't want to wonder what's being said about me when I'm not in the room. And I sure as hell don't want someone who needs a breakdown and a friend intervention to realize I'm worth something. I thanked Bryce for showing up, told him I hoped Patrick found his way back to Earth, and shut the door. That night, I did a full digital cleanse, unfollowed Patrick on every app, took down every photo of us still clinging to my walls, packed up his hoodie, the Xbox controller he always used, tossed it all in a box, and shoved it in the back of the closet. Not ready to throw it out, but I couldn't look at it either. Then I ordered takeout from the place he always said was too spicy, which secretly made me love it more. Ate it while watching The Last of Us, which he refused to watch because zombie shows are stupid. I even used that fancy bath bomb my mom gave me for Christmas, the one I'd been saving for a special occasion. Turns out, being free is the occasion. My phone lit up with a text from a number I didn't recognize. "It's Patrick. Please don't block this number. I just need to know one thing. Did those 3 years mean anything to you? Because they were everything to me." I stared at the screen for what felt like hours. 3 years. 3 years of inside jokes, holiday dinners, lazy Sunday mornings. 3 years of building a life I thought we were going to share. And also 3 years of tiny digs disguised as humor. 3 years of toe-toeing around his moods. 3 years of shrinking myself to make him feel bigger. I didn't reply.
Just blocked the number and turned my phone off. This morning, for the first time in 2.5 weeks, I did something that wasn't about him. It wasn't about reacting or hiding or protecting myself. I just made a plan. A real one. For me. I got dressed, grabbed my bag, and headed out to pick up coffee. And that's when I saw it. Something that stopped me in my tracks. Patrick had changed his Instagram profile picture. It was a photo of us from last summer at his cousin's wedding. My head on his shoulder, both of us smiling like we had a forever. It shouldn't have mattered. It shouldn't have touched me at all. But it did. So now I'm just taking things one breath at a time, day by day. And reminding myself what my grandma always used to say. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. It's been 32 days since I saw that TikTok. A full month of piecing myself back together after realizing the person I thought was my future was actually the weight holding me down. Some days are fine, some are crap. All of it is weird. Like last Saturday, I was at Target, my unofficial therapy zone, shopping for new bed sheets. Finally decided to toss out the gray ones Patrick always said brought out the blue in his eyes. Gag. I was stuck between sage green and terracotta when I noticed this woman staring at me from across the aisle. At first, I figured I had something on my face or toilet paper on my shoe. Wouldn't be the first time. But then she started walking toward me, visibly uncomfortable. "Are you the girl from that TikTok?" she asked, eyes wide like I was some tragic reality show contestant. My stomach twisted into a tight, hot knot. It's one thing to be humiliated online. It's another to be recognized for it by a stranger in Target on a random Saturday with no makeup and yesterday's messy bun still holding on for dear life. Before I could even speak, she launched into a full-blown apology, told me she'd commented something nasty on the original video, said she felt awful after watching Patrick's dramatic little card confession, and realized how wrong she'd been about everything. "Cyberbullying is so real," she said, her exact words. Meanwhile, I'm just standing there, clinging to my terracotta sheets, which, by the way, I only picked because I panicked, and nodding while she had her little redemption arc in the home goods section. When she finally wrapped up, all I could manage was, "Thanks, it's fine, good talk." Then I booked it to check out like my life depended on it. I sat in my car afterward for a full 20 minutes with the AC blasting, even though it was barely 62 degrees outside. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't just Noelle anymore. To some people, I'd become the girl from the TikTok. That video, the humiliation, had become my whole identity. And realizing that didn't make me sad. It made me furious. Not the slow, exhausted kind of sad angry I'd been dragging around for weeks. No, this was a different breed. The kind of fire that makes you move. Sunday morning, I shot up at 6:13 a.m. Couldn't sleep, couldn't sit still. Opened the Notes app on my phone and started a list.
Cut my hair. Finally try that kickboxing class Ellen keeps raving about. Apply for that damn certificate program I've been avoiding. Redecorate my bedroom. No more neutral tones to please a man. Download a dating app. Just to remind myself I have options. By 11 a.m., I had already knocked out number 1. Walked into Supercuts with 0 appointment, high on adrenaline and bad decisions, and told them to chop it. 7 inches gone. Just like that. The stylist asked me 3 different times if I was sure, if someone talked me into it. I told her I just needed change. She didn't need to know I was mentally naming each snip after something Patrick had said over the years. You'd look better with more defined eyebrows. Snip. No guy likes a girl who eats more than him. Snip. Your laugh is kinda loud sometimes. Snip. When she spun the chair around and showed me my reflection, I barely recognized the girl staring back. And for the first time in forever, I liked what I saw. I went home and posted a selfie. Sunlight spilling in from the kitchen window, just me and the new hair. Captioned, "New month, new me." Within the hour, 87 likes, including Bryce and 2 of Patrick's other friends. Petty? Probably. Satisfying? Absolutely. Monday came and I crossed off number 2. Dragged myself to Ellen's kickboxing studio at an hour that should be illegal. I was sure I'd embarrass myself, but the instructor, also named Margaret, weirdly, kept the pace so intense I didn't even have time to feel awkward. By the end, I was drenched, arms like noodles, but I felt strong in a way I hadn't in weeks. Checked my phone after class, 3 missed calls from unknown numbers. Patrick was clearly on his burner phone arc, plus a text from Bryce asking if we could talk. Left him on read. Not there yet. Tuesday, I went for number 3 on the list, the digital marketing certificate I've been debating for months. Patrick always said it was a waste. You already have a good job. Why complicate your life? Took me 43 minutes to fill out the app, another 20 for the personal statement, and 3 seconds of courage to hit submit before I could freak out. Then I did freak out. Called my mom, full spiral. She calmed me down in her signature way. Half reassurance, half I don't get why you're doing this, but I love you. By Wednesday, the chaos picked up again. I was mid-grocery run, standing in the cereal aisle, when my phone blew up. Ellen was texting me in all caps, "Call me now," followed by, "Patrick's on Instagram Live. It's bad." I ditched my cart, sorry to whatever poor stalker had to deal with that, and ran out to my car, hands shaking as I pulled up the live stream. And, yep, there he was, Patrick, clearly drunk at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. Face red, speech slurred, staring into the camera like it was a confessional booth. He was rambling about losing the love of his life, about how he didn't know how to keep going. The comments were a mess, flying in nonstop. Most of the comments were what you'd expect, people begging him to get help or just shut the live off. But he kept going, reading some of the replies out loud, skipping others. Then he dropped the line that made my whole body lock up. "I know she's watching this, Noelle. I'm coming over tonight. We need to talk this out. I'm not taking no for an answer anymore. I froze, then snapped into panic mode and immediately called Ellen, hands shaking. She offered to come stay with me, but I called Josh instead. He lived closer and, frankly, was way more intimidating if Patrick actually showed up.
Josh arrived at 5:30 p.m. with his girlfriend Brooke and enough overnight supplies to move in. Told me not to argue. They weren't going anywhere until this dude got the message. He plopped on my couch, hooked up his Nintendo Switch like it was just another Thursday night hang, and acted like none of this was completely unhinged. By 8 p.m., I had almost convinced myself that Patrick's threat was just drunken nonsense. By 9, I'd started to relax. At 9:47, the doorbell rang. Josh answered while Brooke and I stood frozen in the hallway. I heard Patrick's voice, slurred and messy, demanding to see me. Josh kept his cool, his tone low and flat. I couldn't make out the words, but I didn't need to. After 5 tense minutes, I heard the door close. Josh came back into the living room, clearly annoyed but calm. Said Patrick had finally left after he gently explained that now wasn't the time. Understatement of the year. Also casually mentions that Patrick looked rough, like he hadn't slept, and smelled like he took a bath in Jack Daniels. I barely slept that night. Every car door, every breeze brushing my window made me jump. All I could think was, 5 weeks ago, I thought this man was my person. I thought I knew him. Thursday morning, my phone buzzed with a new text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Patrick's mom. I'm really worried about him. He won't eat, barely sleeps. He lost his job yesterday for showing up drunk. I know you don't owe him anything, but please call me. It was classic her. Emotional manipulation wrapped in faux concern. She'd always treated Patrick like he couldn't possibly handle consequences, always swooping in to clean up his messes. One of the many red flags I'd let slide. I showed the message to Josh, who immediately said, ignore it. I wanted to, really did, but something about it kept poking at me. Not guilt exactly, just this awful feeling like things were spiraling beyond what I'd planned for. Around 3 p.m., I finally replied. I'm sorry Patrick is struggling, but I'm not responsible for his choices or his healing. Please encourage him to seek professional help. She texted back instantly. He made a mistake. Everyone deserves forgiveness. I didn't answer, because some mistakes, they change the way you see someone, forever. That evening, something completely unexpected happened. I was doom scrolling TikTok, because apparently I enjoy torturing myself, when a video popped up from someone I didn't even follow. It was one of those story time clips, and the caption made my heart slam into my ribs. When your friend humiliates his girlfriend on TikTok and you finally call him out for being toxic. It was Colin, Patrick's longtime friend, one of the guys laughing in that video, the one who clapped when Patrick called me hideous. In the video, Colin explained how he'd been complicit in Patrick's behavior for years, not just with me, but with other girls too. How their entire friend group had this messed up dynamic where they encouraged each other's worst impulses. How the TikTok incident had finally been a wake-up call. He ended it with, Noelle, if you see this, I'm sorry. We all failed you. And Patrick, man, get help. This isn't about getting her back. It's about becoming someone who'd never hurt her in the first place. I watched it 7 times. Then sent it to Ellen, who responded with a single word, holy, and then went radio silent for 10 straight minutes. That night, Colin DM'd me on Instagram. Hey, hope that didn't make things worse. I just couldn't stay silent anymore. No pressure to reply. I sat with that for a bit, appreciated that he didn't expect anything from me. Finally, I wrote back, thanks for speaking up. Better late than never. What followed was surprisingly honest. He told me Patrick had been spiraling since I left, drinking daily, picking fights, pushing people away. The friend group had basically fractured, half still enabling him, the other half trying to clean up his messes. And then Colin confirmed something I'd quietly suspected but never had proof of. That wasn't the first time Patrick had talked about me like that. It was just the first time he got caught on video.
That landed differently. It meant the TikTok wasn't some one-time drunk slip. It was a pattern, a mirror of how he actually saw me when no one was around to keep him in check. Friday hit exactly 1 month since I walked out of his life. So I decided to celebrate my personal Independence Day by finally checking off the last thing on my list: download a dating app. Not because I was ready to fall in love again. God, no. But because I needed to remind myself that Patrick wasn't the only guy in the universe. That maybe, just maybe, there were people out there who could love me without cutting me down to feel taller. Setting up my profile was weird, vulnerable. I had to pick pictures where I actually liked how I looked, write a bio that felt like me, not some edited version meant to fit someone else's taste. It was like stretching a muscle I didn't realize had gone stiff. I had just finished creating the profile when my phone rang. Unknown number. I'd almost ignored it, figured it was Patrick on yet another burner. But something told me to answer. It wasn't him. It was Bryce. His voice was shaky, rushed, said he needed to tell me something important, something about the original TikTok. I almost hung up. I was this close to saying I was done with all of it, done with Patrick, done with his friends, done with their drama. But then Bryce said 6 words that froze me in place. The TikTok wasn't spontaneous. Patrick planned it. And then I can prove it. We're meeting today, 2 p.m., Starbucks. Josh insisted on coming with me, said he'd sit nearby just in case.
I have no idea what Bryce is about to show me, but my gut, it's already bracing for impact. I met up with Bryce this afternoon like we planned. My stomach was a full-blown disaster, and I changed my outfit 4 times before even leaving the house. It felt like walking into a courtroom instead of a coffee shop. When I walked into Starbucks at exactly 2:03 p.m., I spotted him right away, tucked him to a corner booth, nervously shredding a napkin into strips. Josh sat at a nearby table pretending to read a magazine, totally not blending in, sunglasses on indoors like we were in a bad spy movie. Bryce looked rough. Not full-blown Patrick spiraling rough, but definitely stressed. Hair unwashed, deep circles under his eyes, and wearing the same wrinkled hoodie I'd seen in like 3 of his recent Instagram posts. The first 5 minutes were painful. He apologized at least a dozen times for laughing in that TikTok, for not stepping in, for being part of everything. I let him get it out. I just sipped my latte, waiting for him to get to the real reason we were there. Then he pulled out his phone. "Before I show you this, just know I didn't find it until yesterday," he said. "I was scrolling through old group chats looking for some pizza place we used to order from, and I found this." He slid the phone across the table. It was open to a WhatsApp group chat called Weekend Warriors. It was Bryce, Colin, Patrick, and 2 other guys I didn't know. The message thread was dated 5 weeks before the TikTok ever got posted. The first message? From Patrick. "Need your help with something, boys." Colin replied, "What's up?" Patrick, "Trying to figure out how to break up with N." Bryce had texted back, "Wait, seriously? I thought y'all were apartment hunting." And Patrick replied with, "Yeah, that's the problem. She's getting too serious. Plus, I met someone at the gym."
My face started to burn as I kept reading. He talked about this girl named Quinn, said they'd been talking for 3 months, but he was nervous about dumping me because we had too many mutual friends and I might get emotional. "Excuse me?" I muttered under my breath. And then it got worse, way worse. Patrick was literally asking his friends how to make me break up with him so he could play the victim. Their suggestions were a nightmare. Stop texting back, pick fights over nothing, gradually disappear. And the one that made my entire body lock up, just be a dick on social media so she sees it and dumps you. The final message in the thread, TikTok might be the move. She never checks it anyway. My hands were shaking as I slid the phone back to Bryce. It wasn't a drunk mistake. It wasn't peer pressure. It wasn't heat of the moment cruelty. It was a plan, a premeditated hit job on our relationship. And I was never supposed to know. I looked up at Bryce, who suddenly couldn't meet my eyes. "Why now?" I asked, barely holding my voice steady. He let out a long breath and said that ever since our last conversation, the guilt had been eating him alive. He'd originally thought the Tic Tac was just a drunk, boneheaded move. Stupid, yeah, but impulsive. He had no idea it had been planned or that Quinn even existed.
"Patrick's been lying to all of us," Bryce said, "telling everyone how heartbroken he is, that he made the biggest mistake of his life. Meanwhile, he's still texting Quinn. I literally saw them together at Chipotle yesterday." That was it. The final puzzle piece snapped into place. The TikTok wasn't a drunken mistake. It was deliberate. A setup, a twisted strategy that only fell apart when I ghosted instead of giving him the dramatic breakup he wanted. I sat there just numb, trying to process that the man I loved for 3 years not only humiliated me on purpose, but did it as a coward's way out, so he could slide into a new relationship without looking like the villain. And now he was parading around as some heartbroken victim to save face. I thanked Bryce for telling me the truth, then got up and walked out of that Starbucks with Josh trailing behind me, throwing out questions I wasn't ready to answer. That night, I made a decision. 37 days of silence. I hadn't spoken to Patrick, hadn't even acknowledged his desperate string of texts and calls, but now I was going to say my piece, on my terms. Not because I wanted closure, not because I wanted him back. God, no. That ship had hit an iceberg, exploded into flames, and sank straight to hell. I just wanted him to know that I knew. Sunday morning, 10 a.m. sharp, I sent the text. From my real number. "We need to talk. Today. 2 p.m., Java Hut on Main. Don't be late." His reply came in 12 seconds flat. "I'll be there. Thank you, Noelle. I love you." Spoiler alert, he absolutely does not. The next 3 hours were a roller coaster of emotional whiplash. 1 minute, I was hyped with righteous fury. The next, I was panicking and Googling how to confront a manipulative ex without crying. I changed outfits 4 times, practiced my lines in the mirror like I was auditioning for Broadway. Called Ellen twice to talk me off the ledge. She told me I already won the moment I walked away. I got to Java Hut 20 minutes early, locked down the corner table with my back to the wall. Strategic. Ordered a chai latte I had no plans to drink. At 1:58 p.m., Patrick walked in. Showered, shaved, wearing that damn blue button-down I gave him last Christmas, scanning the cafe like he was looking for salvation. I had given him that blue button-down, and for just a split second, my heart did that stupid little flip it always used to when I saw him. Then I remembered the WhatsApp messages. He reached in for a hug. I shut it down with a simple gesture toward the chair across from me. His face fell, but he sat. Then, boom, he launched into what was clearly a rehearsed monologue. How sorry he was, how much he missed me, how the past month had been the worst of his life, on and on like he was auditioning for the role of tragic ex-boyfriend. I let him talk for exactly 2 minutes. Then I calmly placed my phone on the table, screen up, with the group chat screenshots Bryce had sent me open like a loaded weapon. "So, who's Quinn?" I asked. The look on his face, y'all, like someone had tased him in broad daylight, mouth opening and closing, struggling for air, pure panic. Those are... Bryce shouldn't have... Just tell me the truth, Patrick, for once.
And that's when the mask dropped. The apologies stopped. The excuses poured in. Quinn was just a friend at first. He'd been confused about our relationship. Said 3 years was too long to be with one person in your 20s. But TikTok? Stupid, but he never thought I'd actually see it. He only panicked when I vanished. Then he said it. I realized I made a huge mistake. Quinn wasn't worth losing you over. And suddenly, everything clicked. He wasn't heartbroken because he hurt me. He was panicking because he lost control of the narrative. Because people knew the truth now. Because I disappeared before he could twist the story. I took a long sip of my cold chai and gave him the line I had practiced all morning. I'm not here to get back together, Patrick. I'm here to tell you I know everything, and I'm done. Don't contact me, don't reach out to my friends or my family. We're over. His eyes filled with tears, fake ones, I'm 99% sure of that now. But I love you, he croaked. We can fix this. I'll do anything. I stood, grabbing my purse and jacket. If you loved me, you wouldn't have spent 3 months planning how to publicly humiliate me just so you could be with someone else. And that's when he tried to play his final card. One last desperate move. I broke the lease on my apartment, Patrick, blurted, desperation leaking from every word. I've been staying with my mom. I thought we'd be moving in together next month, like we planned. And for one brief, ridiculous moment, I felt guilty. Like I was the one that wrecked something good. Like I was the one that shattered his life. Then I remembered those messages. The cold calculation. The strategy behind the humiliation. The fact that he planned to destroy me publicly just to walk away clean. I said, "You should call Quinn. I'm sure she's got space for you." And I walked out. No scene, no yelling, just done.
In the next 2 hours, he texted me 17 times, cycling between groveling, rage, and full-blown emotional breakdowns. I didn't reply to a single one. I just took screenshots and sent them to Ellen with the caption, "The audacity continues." Around noon, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. My stomach twisted, assuming it was him. But it wasn't. It was Quinn. "Hi, Noelle. You don't know me, but I think we need to talk. Patrick's been telling me one story and apparently telling you another." We met for coffee that same afternoon. At this point, I'd consumed enough caffeine to power a small city. Turns out, Quinn had no idea Patrick had a girlfriend. Not until 2 weeks ago, when she saw his public TikTok apology. He told her he was single. Had been for months. Said he was dealing with a crazy ex who just couldn't let go. Sound familiar? But the wildest part, she was actually really nice. We ended up sitting there for 3 hours trading receipts, screenshots, stories. She showed me texts where he told her he loved her on the exact same day he was leaving me sobbing voicemails. By the end of it, we were following each other on Instagram and had soft plans to hit up a new wine bar next month. Call it trust issues bonding. That night, I finally did something I'd been avoiding for weeks. I unblocked Patrick on Instagram, temporarily, and checked his profile.
His story from 3 hours earlier? A black screen with glimpse of us playing the sad boy anthem of choice. Caption: sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone. His profile picture? Still us from last summer. His latest post? A throwback to our second anniversary, captioned, "I'd give anything to go back." Meanwhile, Quinn was texting me screenshots. He'd messaged her that same day, asking if she wanted to hang out later. I have never been more confident in a decision in my life. Yesterday made exactly 40 days since I saw that TikTok. 6 weeks of pain, anger, heartbreak. Then finally, clarity. I blocked him on every app, changed my phone number, told my landlord that under no circumstances was Patrick to be allowed into the building again. And then I did something just for me. That certificate program I applied for, I got in. Classes start next month. I paid the deposit with the money I'd been saving for the apartment we were supposed to move in together. Last night, Ellen, Josh, and a few other friends came over for what we dubbed the Goodbye Patrick Party. We ordered pizza, drank cheap wine, and took turns reading his increasingly unhinged texts. Petty? Maybe. But God, it was cathartic. At one point, Josh looked at me and asked, "Do you regret wasting 3 years on him?" And the truth? No, I don't.
Those years weren't a waste. They were a masterclass in what I'll never tolerate again, in spotting red flags I'll never ignore, in learning just how strong I actually am. This morning, I woke up to a notification. Patrick had tagged me in a new post. I hovered over the view button for 3 seconds, then didn't press it. I don't care what he said. His words have no weight anymore. Instead, I made my coffee, stepped out onto the balcony, and watched the sunrise. So yeah, I guess this is the end of the saga. And if Patrick ever sees this post, good. Let him read it. Let him see just how badly he failed to control the narrative. Let him know that his hideous ex is thriving without him. And to every girl out there dealing with a man who makes you feel small, hear me now. You deserve better, and better exists. Trust me.